Welcome back to Kevin Toll Reads. I hope you're doing well. It is Indie Author August, and I have a banger for you today. We are talking author Erik Waag, his book, Citadel of Seven Swords, book number 1, and Skarde the Wandering Sword. I'm excited to talk about this and excited to give you some insight and fun facts about Erik Waag. I reached out to the authors that I had as my lineup, my TBR for Indie Author August, and sent them an email with some questions, and was very thankful that all of them sent me back responses and interesting insights. And I want to share those and showcase those as part of the book reviews when I review their books on the channel this month. And so Erik is no exception. So I'm going to talk about some fun facts, give you some insights, do the book review, and then end it with some further fun facts and insights from Erik. So let's kick it off. Erik Waag has written 4 books. And he's written 2 books in his Skarde the Wandering Sword series and 2 books in his Sword and 70 series, which I will also be reading this month as part of Indie Author August. He's also written a Skarde short story, which I'm interested in, especially after reading book number 1. And he's written a short story featured in Rock and Roll Mercenaries. Erik is a booktuber. He has his own YouTube channel. You should check it out, especially if you like any and all things fantasy and sword and sorcery. I was actually on earlier this year an episode of the Elusive Exclusive Book Society with Erik, and we talked about a Conan novel. It was a lot of fun. You should definitely check that out as well if you haven't already. Per Erik, he's got a lot of things he's got a lot of irons in the fire, and I'm excited to share these with you. The big news is that he's working on his 3rd Skarde novel, which is very, very good news, especially if you're a fan of the series. He actually has the first draft done. It is to his proofreader, and he has procured a artist for the cover art. And although he doesn't have a publication ETA just yet, those are all positives, and I'm really excited, especially after reading book number 1. I thought it was really interesting that Erik credits Robert E. Howard in his character Conan, as well as Thorfinn Skullsplitter from Richard Writings as influence for Skarde, especially when it comes to his very loose but sharp tongue. And I thought that was really interesting, especially after reading book number 1. There are a ton of things happening for Erik when it comes to writing, and I want to showcase some of those now. Erik is involved in Battleborn magazine, which is underway once again. Erik has a Skarde short story called To Boast of Victory. Skarde's lack of tact, it kind of snowballs and set off this avalanche, is how Erik described that story. He's also involved in another magazine, Anvil number 5, which is in the works. This is part of Iron Age magazine. They have a publication of print and digital magazines for folks. And this is also underway. He has another Skarde short story in there titled The Heart of Vasudauga in it. Erik says it's kind of a fun Monster of the Week style story featuring not 1, but 2 untrustworthy sorcerers. Savage Realms has accepted a story from Erik. It's not a Skarde story, but a short story. This one takes a look inside a big and corrupt city in the same world as the Wandering Sword's tales. It talks about a young thief and his love. They find themselves embroiled in a gang war. He discovers the sinister devilry at the heart of all and deals with it as best he can. I think that's really interesting. As well as Erik has submitted 2 other stories, 2 more shorts that he's currently writing. He's just got a lot going on with writing right now, which is great for us, especially those who like Erik's writing. And so now we're going to dive in and talk about Citadel of Seven Swords, book number 1, The Skarde the Wandering Sword by Erik Waag. Stick around. And so now let's talk about the summary of Citadel of Seven Swords by Erik Waag. Skarde is a slave, and he has thoughts of escape, but the kingdom of ruin is large. But he is a bigger man, being a northerner, a mercenary, kind of a barbarian type character. He's physically imposing. He has strength. He has battle skill. and it far exceeds normal men. So when the opportunity presents itself, he escapes the life of the ship only to find little to no refuge on a volcanic island when they make the coast. The island is overseen by the Iron Brotherhood and their mighty leader, Gul Zagar. Zagar has sorceress type powers and a cult like following of soldiers. After a challenge, Scarde finds himself a slave once more. After he is trained and wins the challenge and is trained as one of their swordsmen, they basically make him a slave as a master or overseer, supervisor of these mines well below the island. And he basically trades one slavery life on a ship to become a slave in the mines. And that is not going to sit well with Scarde, and doesn't. It is from that dark that he must muster courage, cunning, and his own kind of army to find his freedom. It also helps that he becomes aided by a magical and lustful sword and a sorceress. And so that's kind of the summary of this thing. It is a great story. So let's dive right in and talk about what I liked. Scarde is a great character. Definitely, I enjoyed his character arc. You saw from the very beginning on the ship when he's rowing as a slave that he has kind of a fondness for some of the characters. And it's brief, but you know that under all of the muscle, the brute force, that there is some compassion there. There is a little bit of touch of reality outside the bloodlust that he also possesses. And I thought that was really interesting. And we get to see those little glints throughout the story. I really liked Belgetti, his friend. He meets him as part of the story develops, and I'm not going to get into any spoilers, but they create a great bond of honor, a bond of commonality on the battlefield, and there's a mutual respect, and I enjoyed that a lot. I enjoyed Pegleg and Solmay. Solmay is the sorceress, and I enjoyed her interactions with Scarde, and I liked how Erik took that kind of plot line and build it throughout the story. I thought it was really well done. I liked No Hands. I really liked him as he hated Scarde, especially for what he did and how they end up meeting later in the story and how that all comes to pass. I thought was really good. There's a lot of prophecy and mention to gods in here as well that reminded me heavily of Robert E. Howard. There's the god Tolos, Hodin, Louis Dai, Thunir is also mentioned, but you don't get any backstory from them. And I like that because it kind of throws out these names and kind of creates this mystique that's going on, that there's more than just this, what's going on in the story, that it's part of a bigger something. And I thought that was really well done. Scarde's sword, I thought, was really interesting. He ends up naming it Morse Fangcell, and it's related to the giant that helped forge the sword. And the sword has its own magical powers. It has an entity that's trapped in the sword that's calling for bloodlust, calling for Scarde to do things. And I think that's a really interesting concept. Solmay, the fire sorceress, her interaction and relationship with Scarde throughout this story was really interesting as well. I loved the pulpier writing style. I thought Waag's writing was really good. It's very matter of fact, it's paced well. There's a lot of action. It doesn't dwell on or get stuck on a lot of world building. It just keeps the thing moving, and I really enjoyed it. I loved the ending as well. I thought it had great conflict and major conflict and climax to the story, but the ending was really well as well, because it set up for what is going to happen in future entries, and I liked it. I liked how Scarde treated the people that helped with the revolt at the end of the story, how plot lines and future plot lines are going to maybe come to pass. And that's a lot of foreshadowing on my part, or hopes on my part, but I really liked how Erik set that up. There was a couple of excerpts that I also enjoyed as well. One of them was, "All paths bring death, friend, but if there is any chance of success, I'd rather fight and die than rotten here." And that was Belgetti. I really liked his character. Another one was, "Are we vagabonds or wolves upon the sea?" And that was later in the story, but I really liked that quote. In terms of my overall impression and rating, I gave it a 4.5. I thought it was a great book. I thought it had a lot of great elements. Not only did I like Erik's writing, did I like its kind of pulpish kind of way to tell a sword and sorcery tale, I really liked the pacing. I thought it wasn't super heavy on world building. I liked the characters. I liked their own little character arcs. I liked how they end up meeting later down the road in the course of good stuff and bad stuff, whether it's conflict or whether it's furthering for later entries. I thought it was all really well kind of plotted together. It has a lot of great elements. It has sorcery and sorceresses. It has fighting. It has a sword that has its own entity about it. It has nods to gods in the past. It has its kind of own kind of world. It has a lot of mystique. It has different kind of races and plights, and different kind of structure and hierarchy in it within it. And I really thought it was great. I thought it was well done. I'm really excited to pick up the next book and continue reading it. I think Erik's writing, again, is matter of fact and is right up my alley. And so before you tune off, I have some more author info to share. So let's finish off the video with some more author insights and fun facts about Erik Waag. Besides writing, Erik enjoys playing castles and crusades with his kids. They also visit local farms and forests. He's getting back into weightlifting, and he enjoys heavy metal. If you've seen his channel, you'll understand that. And he also enjoys occasionally painting mini characters. That's interesting. Per Erik, what kicked off his love of fantasy? Well, according to Erik, when he was 10, some older boys snuck him into a theater to watch Conan the Barbarian. Yeah, I can just see that. That was a game changer for Erik. He goes on to say, I have strong memories of reading Savage Sword of Conan in the backseat of my parents' car as we went on vacation. Those magazines were a portal to a mysterious and dangerous world. After that, I picked up on Tolkien, Dragonlance books, David Eddings, and a few others. I thought that was really interesting. Another question that I threw out there was, as an indie author, what are your biggest challenges you face? And according to Erik, I love writing. That's the easy part. Editing is a bit of a grind, but the end goal pulls me along. What is disheartening is promotion. Social media is falling into dark times. It's hard to get much traction. X and Facebook seem to throttle you more each day. I don't really have a handle on Instagram, and YouTube's algorithm seems to push smaller channels away in favor of established brands. He goes on to say it's pay to play, but even then, anyone who does pay for upgraded accounts or ads reports the ROI is awful. It was better in the past, and someday it will be better, but right now it just seems like a slog. Another question that I asked Erik was, what do you hope readers take away from your work? And he goes on to say, I want them to have fun. If there is anything deeper than that, I don't want it to be visible above the surface. I don't write about the issue of the day or subvert expectations. I try to write from a heroic or mythological perspective. When those themes are done right, they are automatically compelling because they are deep in our souls. I don't know how well I pull off my mythopoetic storytelling, so he errs on the side of ass-kicking, monster-killing, and princess-kissing fun, and that is a direct quote, and I think that's great. My last question was, what is one piece of advice you would give to someone about becoming an indie author? And Erik says this: you don't need anyone's permission to write what you want and publish it in a way you want. Keep in mind, I'm not a veteran author, but still very much struggling forward. What held me up most when I started writing in the early 2000s was believing I had to write big chunker stories with complex plots. Around 2020, when I made the decision to try writing again, he goes on to say that I was determined to write a simple and fun story. And I thought Citadel of Seven Swords would be a 20,000 word story at most, and I wasn't sure how to publish it. I just wrote it and ended up being 65,000 words. He goes on to say, write what you want, publish it on Draft to Digital or Amazon or Substack as you like. According to Erik, I really hope to see an explosion in heroic and epic fantasy written away from the meddling trade pub industry. And I hope you enjoy this. I enjoy this, especially as much as I enjoyed Citadel of Seven Swords by Erik Waag. Book number 1, the Scarde, the Wandering Sword series. I gave it a 4.5. I really enjoyed showcasing an indie author, and I'm excited to continue to do this throughout the month. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you later. Thanks.